Last night, very late last night for you in Washington, D.C., in Ferguson, 2 police officers were shot, and thank goodness
thankfully they're okay.
They're at home now and they're out of the hospital. And especially, you gave a beautiful speech in Selma last Saturday talking about these very subjects, about civil rights, the past, the present, the future of civil rights. Does that make it especially painful for you when something like this happens?
Obviously, we don't yet know what happened.
We don't know what happened? Of course we know what happened. 2 policemen were shot. One was shot through the shoulder, the other was shot in the face. We know what happened. And we know that there was protesters in front of those police when they got shot. And the shots came from the protesters. We know that. He knew that. Everybody knew that. What's he talking about?
Our thoughts and prayers are with the officers and their families, and thankfully, as you said, they're going to be okay.
Is it me, or am I noticing like kind of a ho-humness to, yeah, officers got shot and, you know, we're hoping that they're okay? Do you see any outrage? I don't.
What was beautiful about Selma,
change of subject,
was reminding ourselves that real social change in this country so often has happened because ordinary people are willing in a nonviolent fashion to make their voices heard. And you know, I think that what had been happening in Ferguson was oppressive and objectionable.
What was happening that was oppressive? What was happening?
Objectionable and was worthy of protest.
What was worthy of protest? Michael Brown being shot? Michael Brown's shooting was not worthy of protest, as we have come to learn, as most people knew going in, because of all the contradictions from the witnesses, especially the witnesses that we knew were lying. But that was worthy of protest? Do you understand this man at all? I don't.
But there was no excuse for criminal acts. And
there's no excuse for criminal acts. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
And whoever fired those shots shouldn't detract from the issue.
Whoever fired those shots shouldn't detract from the issue. In other words, and this really is what gets my goat about this guy, the issue is not that 2 cops got shot. That is not the issue, according to him. This is what I don't get about this guy. 2 policemen were shot. This guy is the chief law enforcer of the entire country, and he doesn't think the issue is that 2 police officers got shot.
They're criminals. They need to be arrested. And then what we need to do is to make sure that like-minded, good-spirited people on both sides, law enforcement who have a terrifically tough job, and people who understandably don't want to be stopped and harassed just because of their race.
That's the issue to this guy. People getting stopped because they perceive they're being stopped because of race. Now, if they are being stopped because of race, that is wrong. That needs to be addressed. But that, to Barack Obama, is the issue. Not police getting shot in the face. Traffic stops is the issue. Think about the mind that has to come up with that. Think about the policemen who are risking their lives in front of these protesters, many of whom aren't even from the area, and many of whom are just anarchists looking to do something to harm the cops. This is just mind-boggling to me. And he says it with such a matter-of-factness that people like buy into this crap. I mean, it is unbelievable how cavalier he is about policemen being shot.
That we're able to work together to try to come up with some good answers. And I think I put together a task force after the original Ferguson event had taken place.
Now, when a politician doesn't want to do anything, they put a task force in place. That's how you know that this is nothing more than just political hokey pokey. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of crap. He knows that there's nothing that he's going to do or plans to do. He knows that the issue of people being stopped by the cops because they're black, or the perception of that, if it isn't real, and I'm willing to admit it's possible, it could be real, but he's not going to do anything about it. He's just going to put a task force together. And this is how he manipulates people. Nothing's going to be done. You think 2 years from now, after he's out of office, that anything is going to be different in terms of police stopping people because they're black, or even the perception of that? No, nothing is going to change. He is bullshitting you.
That had police officers, police chiefs, and some of the organizers of protests both in Ferguson and in New York, young people. And they came up with some terrific recommendations and found that there's a lot of common ground. And what we have to make sure of is that...
See, this is the street organizer coming out of him again. Because really, you know, when I boil it all down, if you just want to be as fair as possible to this guy, really the only thing he knows is street organizing. He's an agitator. That's all he is. He's never been anything more than that. He's never progressed out of that. He's never broken out of that mold. He was a street organizer. He was trained as a street organizer. He became a state senator. He became a United States senator. And because Hillary Clinton is a complete idiot, he became president. And that's how this guy rose to power. Because he gives off a good impression on camera, and he can convince people that he's smart and sincere when he's neither.
The folks who disregard and disrespect the other side.
Have you noticed Obama's effect, how he like kind of throws his arm out and wobbles his head when he's talking? Let me see if I can back this up a couple of seconds to show you what I mean. He does this move. It's kind of odd. Watch it. But I think it's a tell. It's something that indicates when he's kind of BSing.
And disrespect.
See right there.
The other side, people who resort to violence, that they're marginalized. And
they set us all back. They do, yeah.
They do. And
see what he does? He overly gestures with his hands. And I think that when people do that, that's a form of insincerity. It's a tell of insincerity. When not the mere use of your hands when you talk, but the overuse, the exaggerated use when he lifts his, the motions where he's like kind of gesturing more. He's making an effort, a conscious or a subconscious effort perhaps, to be convincing. But he's not convincing, at least me.